By looking at analytics, I know that a certain percentage of you will not watch this video for more than 10 seconds. My plan to overcome this is to talk faster and possibly louder, which probably won't work, but I have to play to my strengths. Let's take a look on the right side. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the bright side. I'm your host, Bob Herzog, and for those who did make it past those first 10 seconds, you will be rewarded with a baby gorilla, a colorful igloo, and unyielding compassion. And folks, by the way, we're doing this thing. You're doing this thing. Last week, I stood right here. I missed my mark just like I did today. But I stood in this general area, and I told you that we had hit 20,000 views for the last episode. And now, because of your reviews and your follows and your video shares, we passed 30,000 for the last episode. Do I hear 40? Who gave me 40 now? Somebody 40, 40. Who's giving me 40? Somebody 40 now. Who gave me 40 now? I'm getting greedy. I know. Hey, big thanks to those who followed the Bright Side with Bob Herzog Facebook page and clicked that review tab to write a review. Lenora did that and says, always loved the Herzog humor, but how he puts together stories that make you realize life isn't all gloom and doom is an art form. Nice to have something to smile about. Lenora, some artists work in oils, others in marble. I do my best work with monkey videos. Steph also checked in and wrote, in part, the kids and I love watching. Every week, one of them will excitedly remind me, Mom, the bright side. The end is our favorite part because Bob will mosey back out for one last dance. Steph, as you watch with your kids, just remember, as I'm dancing, I'm embarrassing mine. As for those who shared last week's episode, probably the best way to help us elevate the level of discourse on the interwebs, by the way, Jessica wrote, Heart Bob Herzog. I put heart there because we can't put a heart emoji on our graphics. I don't know why. Science. Anyway, check this out if you need a chuckle, giggle, or belly laugh. And how about this? The Clinton County, Ohio Neighborhood Watch page even shared last week's episode, writing a positive place to visit, the bright side. We need some good in the world. Thought I would share. I'm not kidding, everybody. The reason I've been taking some time to recognize folks who are helping spread the word is because without your buy-in on this project, it goes nowhere. So thank you. And now, on to some cute animal videos. The Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden coming strong as always with this video of Amali, the 6-month-old bonobo. And they say she's pretty much acting her age here, making funny faces on the glass. I considered, by the way, at this point, putting my mouth on the glass where we can see the teleprompter reflection in front of the camera lens in a show of solidarity. Also, knowing that other anchors would then have to look where my mouth was to do their job gives me an odd feeling of having marked my territory. But we're in a pandemic, doesn't seem sanitary, so no. Amali, by the way, just so you know, is a Swahili name meaning hope. So cute. And I hope, by the way, you're ready for some cross-species cuteness. Ermel is a dachshund, Beethoven is a boar, and I don't mean dull because it's actually quite exciting. The wild boar came to live with the Calden family from Wanfried, Germany after its mother died in an accident. Beethoven was hypothermic and malnourished, so Ermel took over feeding him. A vet has checked out Beethoven, and he expects Beethoven's going to make a full recovery with his new family. That's so sweet. Just gets right in there, too. And how about one more from our friends at the Cincinnati Zoo? A manatee who spent a lot of time rehabilitating there is back in the wild now. And his name, Goonies fans, is Truffle Shuffle. He spent a year at the Cincinnati Zoo's Manatee Springs. Last September, he was returned to Florida to reacclimate before his eventual release, and that happened on Monday. Truffle Shuffle is the 20th manatee to be rehabilitated at the Cincinnati Zoo. The zoo here in my town is one of only 2 facilities outside of Florida that provides non-critical care for manatees. So I have to tell you something else. I also genuinely considered at this moment in the program whether or not I should go the full Goonie for you, because it's our time here. It's our time. That's all over the moment we write up Troy's bucket. But no, see, I was going to become Chunk and do the actual Truffle Shuffle for you. But then I decided undulating, pale, and hair-covered belly skin is not the way to get people to watch longer. consider that my gift to you, just being a good Samaritan. And speaking of which, good Samaritans are popping up all over this week, including this fella. 83-year-old Bill Grant worries about the safety of his neighbors in Idaho, whether it's speeding drivers or snowy sidewalks. He tries to look out for folks, so he goes out several times a day and spends hours shoveling. And that's no easy feat, since Bill, in addition to being 83, has COPD. But he doesn't let that slow him down.
You could hire somebody to do this, but why do you choose to do it yourself?
I like the exercise, any kind of exercise. Well, if I get too bad, I carry my puffer, and that's a lifesaver.
Bill loves to be out doing things. He didn't retire until he was 75. Way to go, Bill. And while Bill is trying to give people an easier path through the snow, in Western Canada, they're trying to make things a little more complicated. The world's largest snow maze is now open in Manitoba. An unseasonably warm winter had delayed the build, but a polar vortex finally moved through so that it was cold enough for construction. There is a sliding hill and even some snow huts with artwork inside. The owner says the maze is even bigger this year with COVID-19 restrictions in place.
Our snow maze is 91% bigger, and we do have the world's title as the largest maze. And so when you increase that by 91%, I mean, that added to the build, you know, very costly to add that much. So we added just square footage so that we can keep people apart. And in addition, we added 2 feet to the paths. So they were 6 feet and now they're 8 feet so that everyone can maintain social distancing while they're in the maze.
The maze is about 240,000 square feet. And if that project doesn't drop your jaw at least a little bit, maybe this one will. TJ Steller is in his element when he uses the elements to create this amazing cascading ice tree. When temperatures drop, he scales the tree that's already there, and he piles some brush on top, adds water, and then repeats that process again and again. The tree's a tourist stop for some Philadelphia residents, and the tree has roots, if you will, as all trees do. But this one has roots dating all the way back to the 1960s.
All started with my great-grandfather. All of a sudden, they instituted a water tax. And he said, all right, if you're going to charge me to use water, I'm going to use water.
I like to think of that as no taxation without irrigation, and I think someone should put that on a t-shirt. Anyway, the visual virtual protest turned into a tradition that Mr. Steller has no intention of ending. He says he thrives off the joy of dazzled onlookers. And let us now continue to dazzle. No kidding, I love this one. It's just a cool idea, very creative. A mom in Minnesota is adding some color to all of that white snow.
It up a little bit. Voila.
Jessica Montenegro is using minus 10-degree weather to make rainbows. She spent the last week making this igloo out of ice and snow and food coloring. Jessica says she was inspired by her kids and she wanted to teach them that even on the coldest of days, the pluses outweigh the minuses.
Yeah, let's embrace every season, every temperature.
It's all done. We're gonna eat pizza in it.
We're gonna have the pizza delivery guy deliver it to the igloo.
We're going to have pizza in there. And look at all these other different projects. Jessica's creativity isn't exclusive to winter, as you can see. During the summertime, she turns her driveway into colorful chalk murals and such. Very creative lady. I love that. Now, by the way, before we move on, give me just a moment. We've just spent several minutes talking about people doing good and having fun in the snow and the cold. But I don't want to lose sight of the fact that for millions of people right now, especially in Texas, there is nothing fun about the snow and the cold. And to those folks, we all hope you are warm and you are safe and that things get better soon. You know, for a lot of people, the last year has been a time of great difficulty and isolation. But a young woman in Virginia is trying to share some hope and some compassion with those who are struggling. Chelsea Donovan explains.
Connecting with others has been a challenge during COVID, to say the least.
Something so small and simple as a handwritten note did so much for me that I just wanted other people to feel that way.
Jordy DiFernando experienced a message of hope about 7 years ago that uplifted her spirits.
I started compassion cards just out of a very hopeless place in my life. I've struggled with depression and anxiety and self-image issues.
Compassion Cards was born, a nonprofit headquartered in Norfolk that sends handwritten cards to anyone all over the world.
In the past, we've sent cards to foster kids, the LGBTQ plus community, people who are struggling with food insecurity, unhoused people, folks who are incarcerated.
The letters of love took on new legs during COVID.
This past year, we did a lot of cards to senior citizens in the area who have been stuck at home. We sent over 13,000 cards to elderly folks in 2020.
In total, volunteers have sent over 30,000 cards in the past few years. Simple acts of kindness that can go a long way.
Just to remember that the world is better because all of us are here, and that we can get through tough things together. I was at a pretty dark point in my life when someone actually gave me a card randomly just to kind of like speak some life into me. And that really gave me a lot of hope to just continue on.
Now, the Compassion Cards team has delivered cards all over the United States and Africa and Central America. And if you'd like to volunteer, you can do that by going to www.compassioncards.org/volunteer. We got time for one more to inspire as we look at people who dream of the stars and go there, or at least manage to ship some cool machinery off this third rock from the sun and park it on the red planet. The most advanced rover NASA has ever created is now roaming Mars, ready to seek out old life and not so much civilizations. My buddy Brad Underwood talks to a man from around my neck of the woods who has a part to play in this history-making expedition.
We have confirmation of entry interface.
As the world watches Mission Control track NASA's Perseverance rover to the surface of Mars, UC astrobiologist Andy Chaya knows exactly where it's going.
It's a very delicate operation that has all the things that have to happen to get this thing on the surface.
Chaya is a member of the team that picked the landing spot on Mars.
It's a really exciting spot. It's a crater on the surface, but it had a lake in it at one point, billions of years ago.
The SUV-sized rover's #1 job is to find evidence of microorganisms that once lived billions of years ago.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars.
NASA works, and when we put our arms together and our hands together and our brains together, we can succeed. This is what NASA does. This is what we can do as a country.
After the successful landing, the real work begins. These are the first photos taken by Perseverance. Now, with help from Chaya and others, Martian rock hunting begins.
It's the first mission that has the goal of looking for ancient life on another planet.
Another first, exploring the planet with a drone helicopter. The mission is the first of a series of Mars missions that will eventually bring back the rock samples for more in-depth testing. Testing that's never been done on any other planet.
Right now, the only life we know of in the universe exists here on Earth.
And that may be the case for at least another 10 years. The first samples are expected back on Earth in the early 2030s.
And so when you can't figure out how to turn off that cat filter or connect to the Wi-Fi or find that switch that makes the dishwasher power come on that you never even realized existed, just remember, there are people flying drone helicopters on Mars. Don't you give up. You can do this. Like maybe you've never shared a video to your page on the Facebooks. You can do that too. And give it a try. Because maybe someone you know needs to take a look. On the bright side.